The topic of the day is enjoying the atmosphere of the kingdom of heaven. Most Christians do not dare to believe that the kingdom of heaven is a natural way of life. It is as if life in the new heaven and new earth is incompatible with human existence. With this kind of thinking, they actually do not believe in the resurrection of the dead. The resurrection of the dead with a glorified body is the same body that Jesus demonstrated when His Majesty was on earth. He could eat and drink. The resurrection of the dead is the return of believers who once lived on this earth to enter another life, namely the real life. Heaven is a repetition of this world, with the key difference being that there is no power of darkness and no sin. It is exactly like what we experience on earth, just without evil. Therefore, we should not doubt it at all. We should have the courage to say, "I believe, Lord, even though I do not fully understand." And that becomes our strength. If someone has moved his heart in the kingdom of heaven, it means that his dealings with this world are finished. This is because we do not live for this earth, but rather for the new heaven and new earth, LB3. Therefore, the principle of life on earth is, as long as there is food and clothing, it is enough. However, people today want big houses and lots of money. They want to embellish and enhance their lives with all of the facilities available. If they don't, they consider it abnormal. But we must shift our hearts to the new heaven and new earth. This is the consequence of being a believer. If we are unwilling to follow this path until death, we will never become truly spiritual Christians. No matter how great our theology is, we will not be known by God if we are bound by worldly romance. The standard of living for God's children, who have shifted their hearts to the world to come, is Jesus Christ. There is no other standard. Many intelligent theologians give the impression that only those with academic degrees are worthy of speaking to the congregation. But God is not bound by such standards. Of course, it is good for preachers to study theology, but those who study theology must first shift their hearts to the kingdom of heaven. The higher the degree, the more spiritual a person should be, not just more skilled at crafting theological formats and definitions. Otherwise, theology can become unspiritual, resulting in an unspiritual congregation as well, as if God is dictated by academic degrees. Honestly, this is often what keeps congregations worldly. They only want to fill their minds with theological arguments while neglecting the most fundamental principle, shifting their hearts to the kingdom of heaven. They lack the instinct that this world is not their home. Instead, they pursue recognition as famous theologians, seek admiration, and aim for prestigious positions in synods or theological seminaries, all of which are influenced by the devil. The deception at play is redirecting human focus away from the new heaven and new earth, LB3. There is no longing to return to heaven. There is no yearning for the resurrection from the dead. That is why, at times, God allows us to experience heartbreak in this world or suffer from incurable illnesses, so that our focus may return to LB3. Someone who embezzles state funds, causing an estimated loss of 16 trillion, faces the threat of a life sentence. However, 16 trillion means nothing compared to eternity. For those who have corrupted God's time and wealth, the punishment is not just a lifetime in an earthly prison but eternal separation from God. Why aren't we afraid? If we truly understand this truth, we will no longer debate about tithes or firstfruits, because our entire lives belong to God. We must have sensitivity to what we must do for Him. So why do people not long to return to heaven? The answer is because they don't enjoy the atmosphere of the kingdom of heaven on earth. They do not enjoy the presence of God's kingdom in their lives because they do not feel the need for it. Their joy is sustained by money, worldly facilities, praise, honor, and flattery. In other words, their inner atmosphere is worldly, influenced by the power of darkness, specifically by Satan. They may not worship the devil directly, but they admire the beauty of the world and desire it. If our spiritual atmosphere is not transformed, then the idea of the new heaven and new earth becomes nothing more than empty words, because we do not genuinely desire to go there. We must strive to truly long for our return to heaven. And that is not easy. Perhaps today, people do not fully realize how extraordinary eternity is. But now, we must begin to understand just how profound and overwhelming eternity truly is. If someone has moved his heart in the kingdom of heaven, it means that his dealings with this world are finished. This brings us to the end of today's Truth Daily Enlightenment. May the blessings of the Lord Jesus be upon us daily.